there anybody out there? Is there anybody out there? It is I, Rikuhen. Hello. Let's see. We've had a few new souls join our join the castle here. Looks like we had Alxia Tuber? Alzia Tuber? And our newest, up above there, up here, Kuromi VTT. Alright. Oh. So. Basically just going to be chatting, I think, for tonight. I did not get a whole lot of sleep last night. Maybe 2.5 hours. So I'm a little groggy. If I try playing one of the... play Minecraft, Civ 7, I'll probably fall asleep on stream. So... anybody wants to come in and say hello? Let's see, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 followers. So that's not too bad. No, too big. Let's see if I can make myself a little bit. So yeah. If anybody happened to watch my... Let's see, I put that on the Twitter/X, whatever the frack Elon wants to call it, account. I did post that. Oh, that's... I'm looking at the wrong thing. Whoop, 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 there it is. Nope. Where's me? Yep. So, yep. Tired. Let's see. Now, there's the... Where's the stuff I posted? There we go. Yes, there we go. So, a little riddle for you all. Do you know what I have in common with the Hebrews that were enslaved in Egypt? We both got passed over. Now for them, that was a good thing. Keeps you alive. For me, not so much. I've been working at my particular occupation for a little over 7 years and a few months. And never once have I ever been asked, given my years of experience, to train anybody brand new. I used to be a driver, and I'm a little hesitant as to giving away too much of what the business that I worked for does. Let's just say it's in the health industry, or at least a periphery thereof. I used to drive people to and from doctor's appointments and so on. And I did that for about 5.5 or so years. 5 3/4. 2/3. I don't know. What's December? What's November to August? 5 years plus that. And then, since not August of last year, but the previous year, I've been in the office being dispatched for those other drivers, those poor souls that drive those people around. And outside and inside, I've never once been asked to train anybody. And we have inside the office for dispatch leads. Kind of, if you think of it maybe in military terms, you have all of the privates, right? All the little peons at the bottom of the totem pole, right? And you have your sergeants who, dictate, So we have kind of like one sergeant in the room, and then the officers, are in offices in other rooms, right? But between the sergeant and the lowly privates, basically you have a couple of corporals, as it were, higher ranking, able to give orders, but quote unquote higher ranking. Well, we had two when I joined. And one of them moved on to the IT department and then quit this last January, leaving us with only one corporal, as it were, to, keep an eye on us little privates, right? Now, in that time, I've been there for a little over a year and a half, but basically I suddenly found myself, of the privates that were working there, there's two people that have been working there there's one person in that office who's basically, a private and happy to be there. She's been there for, longer than I've been with the company, basically since the company got started. There's another one who joined after I joined, but he's been in the office the entire time. So the two of them are quite well versed in how the dispatch and stuff like that go. But they're quite content being exactly where they are. And then everybody else is newer. All the other veterans that have been there longer than me have since gone away, quit, whatever. And so, we have one of those people who's only been in for a few months. And in basically the one corporal, as it were, for lack of a better term, comes in the office one day a week and then works from home the rest of the week. So we have no actual in-office corporal. Lead, basically, is the title. We have no in-office lead the other 4 days of the week. We have to contact the one at home through, either caller or we got a little like chat type of things, but no eye to eye, face to face kind of contact except for that 1 day a week. So I think, I was thinking, we should probably get another person, but I was just thinking that I never really said anything. And lo and behold, well, apparently my bosses were thinking the same thing. And keep in mind, a lot of the staff were coming, particularly newer people, were coming to me for questions about how do you do this, how do you do that. And one of the people one of those people who all last week, up to and including all of last week, was asking me questions about this and that, and how do you do this, and what do we do in this scenario, and all sorts of stuff, things related to work, asking me questions that, and I would answer them. And to the point where, the questions were such that it kind of took away from my ability to do my job. It took me longer to do the things that I needed to do. We have general duties, answer phone calls, yada yada yada. But then there's certain tasks that we are assigned, usually on a weekly basis. We kind of split things into teams. And so when you're on, depending on what team you're on for a week, and you have certain duties that team performs every day. And while the others kind of get a bit of a break, as it were, doing kind of the more just general dispatching stuff. The other team has, certain duties that we have to perform in our line of work. And this one in particular person we're both on the same team, and he was asking me lots of questions about, the duties of being on that team and, what we're doing, So relating to that work. And because I was so busy helping him deal with his, things to do, it was taking me longer to get through my things to do. I still got them done, but, not quite in the same timely fashion. And then Friday comes along, and then we get an email from, the head, let's see, the CEO of the company. Well, it's actually two CEOs. And then, let's say, what would be a good rank for this? So those are the two CEOs, would be the generals, right? Using military things, right? Okay, so let's say what would he be? A major? Maybe a colonel? I don't know if he's as high as a colonel, but he's definitely a major, at least. Lieutenant colonel, somewhere around there, right? Sends an email saying, well, hey, congratulations to our new lead, the very person who has been asking me all sorts of questions the entire week, keeping me from doing, he's asking me questions. And if he's going to be the lead, you would think that he would know the questions that he's asking me. In lieu of actually having a lead there, I was effectively doing the lead stuff, But I'm very vocal around there, though. I like the vision of the place, but there's certain aspects to it that need improvement badly. And I have been for the 7+ years of, being very vocal about there are things wrong with how we're doing things. We need to do things better. So maybe that sunk me. I don't know. But the person who is now the new second lead, the new corporal, and nothing against him. He's nice enough and everything like that. I get along fine with him. It's just that, how do you put somebody in that position when the week before they were asking me, or anybody else for that matter, questions that as a lead, they should already know. So, thus, passed over. If I'd had the means to do so, I would have quit. I would have walked out that door the instant I saw that email. Just gathered all of my stuff up and walked out the door. Unfortunately, I can't do that. In order to leave, that show pays, or that job pays the bills, and so I still have to I got to be able to jump into something that still pays the bills. If that wasn't the case, or if I had something available to, I would have walked out of that door on Friday. I've had many a reason to do so. I'm in a way I'm lucky that I, in many ways I resemble my dad in terms of temperament. I mean, I got his musicianship to some degree. I'm both a better and worse musician than my dad was. But yeah, if I'd had my dad's temperament truly, I definitely would. Well, I would have walked out years ago. Regardless of whether I had any, my dad would leave a job regardless of whether he had anything lined up or not. It just, if he felt insulted in any way, he's gone. And, fuck the consequences. Which left the rest of us in a world of, my mother had a steady income, and we very often, all too often, lived solely on that steady income, which wasn't much. It was we had much better, we lived a whole lot better when my dad was also working. But, and there's, there's a long history there, and maybe I'll tell the story later. But, the point is that, he would be in and out of jobs, pretty frequently. most of which he would lose because the company would take a downturn. He was the last one hired and the first one fired, in pretty much every place he ever worked. And so 70-80% of the time he'd be out of work because of that. But then the other 20-30%, would be because he felt insulted by somebody at the company and said, screw this, I'm gone. So at least I'm not like that, because I would have left a long time ago. What I would have done after that, I have no idea. But if I had known these kind of things exist, this stuff, if I had any inkling as to how popular this would become, I would have done it sooner. But here I am. Okay, so I don't know if I've got anybody watching me. I was actually chatting. Kuromi VTT was, just joined my Legion of Souls. But we were chatting about all of this earlier. So I don't know if Kuromi, I am messing that up. Kuromi is still on. But yeah, they're asking questions about this model, so here we go. There's the model. Let me make it a little smaller there. Just a floating head and a cloak. With flaming hair that I would have liked this to be animated, but it isn't. It changes color with my moods, but only if I toggle. That's angry. That's sad. The problem is that I can't just press the button and leave it. I have to hold it down in order for it to change and stay there. When I release, there it goes. Same with this one. When I press it down, there it is. But it only stays this way so long as I press it down. The second I release, I would have liked to have had, press that, press that once and leave it there, So, let me see. Let me get really close here. Okay, I'm blinking my eyes. That's the one thing that's not really happening. The eyes are just moving up and down. They're not actually going out. If I wink, so I'm winking my eyes. Right eye open, left eye closed. Right eye closed, left eye open. Can you tell? No, because they don't go out. Those are things I would have liked. Yeah. They're asking questions about my model, and so there you are. My mouth, I don't have much of a mouth. It's not very articulated because, well, it's just a jaw. And, it moves when I talk. It moves when I open my mouth. It's not very articulate. I've seen, obviously if I had more of a traditional looking model, you expect the mouth to move a little bit more and articulate a little bit more. You expect the eyes to have a little bit more expressions and stuff like that. That's fine. This serves my purpose. In a way, it fits the lore, right? Oh, let's see. Can I put the crown on here? I had a crown. Where did I put it? Nope. The crown's not there. Where did I put the crown? That should have been the crown toggle. I guess I didn't put that on. Not that I really wanted the crown. It was given to me without really my asking. Which is fine. But, yeah. So, yep. So this is what I am. This is Rikuhen, the Lich, the Demi-Lich, the floating skull. No body, you know. This is the back of the cloak. You know, this isn't the front of the cloak. This is the back of the cloak that you're seeing there. This is the inside. The body would go in front of this. But there is no body. There's no body, there's no arms, there's no legs, there's no nothing. Which is fine. I can be a Demi-Lich. Just a floating skull. Goes with the lore. The more followers I get, the more souls I collect, then maybe if I get enough to have subscribers, then maybe I can add a body. It's the Lich making a comeback, right? The lore being basically I was nothing but a bunch of dust. Until I discovered that by entertaining people, rather than killing them, I can regain my body and turn from a Lich back into an old wizard. So the floating head is the first step. The rest depends on you. So, is there anybody out there? Anybody want to talk? Now that I've done with my... It's a good thing I'm dead. I hate my life. Do. I'm streaming. She's waiting for my stream, and she's, not here. I'm streaming. Twitch.com/Rikuhen. Come on in. Watch me. Been half an hour. Are you here? Is there anybody out there? Hello. Is there anybody out there? Just not if you can hear me. Is there anyone at all? I should pull up the lyrics. Anybody want to talk? Anybody want to talk? Is anybody there? I don't know. Is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can play? Really kind of tired. Oh, it's there. Wow, okay. Ah. I think I'm. Well, Kuromi has joined my Twitter, but hasn't joined the chat. Oh, yeah. See, now there's a thing. I gotta fix this. I got a chat box. Hello, Kuromi. Alright, so I don't know if you saw. No, you might not have seen it. Okay, so here we go. Introduction again. Alright, so this is me. Just a floating head. I'm blinking my eyes, but they don't blink. They just move. I can wink, but they don't move. I would love these eyes to actually go out, when I'm blinking. Like they normally should go blinking. They just move. They don't blink. The mouth movements are... I tried to tweak them as much as I could so that, it actually moves when I'm talking. But sometimes it moves when I'm not talking. When I'm not moving my mouth at all. Or... Well, I mean, lagging could just be because, well, my computer's... my computer's overtaxed. So, no blinking. Notice that the flames on top of my skull are not animated. I would love for them to be animated. They should have been animated. And what they do is that with... Whoops. Yeah. Right? I mean, I got a lot of background noise, unfortunately. I've got because like I said, my computer's overtaxed. I've got fans on it, so I think everything's kind of picking up the fans. So including I mean, I've got a lot of fine tuning of the mouth and things in order to get it so that it picks up when I'm talking, both in terms of what the camera sees, and also there's it'll respond to sound. So I gotta tweak that so that it responds to just this sound and not the background noise. But also, when I'm moving. But here's the other thing this does. So yeah, the fire on the head's not moving. And there's two different things. And there's you got this green. Green is basically, I'm copacetic. I'm green. We're good. And if I get angry, I can switch to red. I'm angry. Or I'm sad. Now, I would love these to be animated too. But here's the other thing. Those only work if I push down and hold on the key. That toggles it. So instead of just pushing the toggle and leaving pushing the toggle once and having that show up, and I got to figure out how to, and I'm sure it must be in VTube Studios. There's got to be a way to push the key once and have it turn red and stay there, even when I, instead of holding it, it only goes red when I'm holding the key down. That's something that's probably fixable in VTube Studio. I can't figure out how to do it though. I need help like this, So if I release it, I can't just press it once and have it stay red. I've got to hold it down and keep it that way. And the instant I let go, it goes back to green. I don't necessarily want it to go back to green unless I hit the green. I don't have a green button. I need a green button. I need a green button. I have a red button. I have a blue button. I don't have a green button. I want to be able to hit a green button and return myself back to green instead of just have it at default when I let go of, the red button or the blue button. And like I said, I think that's something that I can probably, it's not so much rigging per se, it's just something in YouTube's, in the VTuber studio that I could probably just, but I can't figure out how to do that yet. Ah! So, those are, I paid a lot of money for this. And while I'm thankful for even having it in the first place, I was hoping that for the amount that I spent, that things like this would have been included, it's it's about as much it's about as much rotation as I get. Whoops. Yeah, I get out of my camera range and I'm a bit messed up. Let me make myself a little smaller here. So I've got a little range of motion there. Not much. So, and basically again, it fits the lore. The lore is that I'm a demi-lich, and basically all there is to a demi-lich is just a floating skull. So, I wanted the full body. I thought I was going to get the full body, but I didn't get the full body. So that's okay. That's alright. I can deal with the floating skull. It fits the lore. And basically, as I gain followers and maybe subscribers, that'll basically be the impetus to add a body, add hand, and we can we can set goals maybe. This is I figure out how, we can set goals and say, okay, certain number of subscribers or something like that, I get arms, a few more and I get a torso, I get ribs and a spine. I'm pretty spineless right now. Later I get legs, that kind of stuff. Or I don't get legs. That might be fun too. Just upper body stuff. Hands. Eventually, I would like to play music. I gotta get myself a keyboard. But you can add things like there's already like pianos and stuff like that I can put in the foreground here. I can put down in here in the foreground and play out that I'm playing while I'm actually on a keyboard playing. Sing along and whatever. One of the things one of my goals of doing. But in order to really, sit down and play at a piano, you need arms. So, ghostly apparitions. I don't know. So, yep. That is the Lich for you. That is the Demi-Lich, as it stands right now. And all I need is people to come in here and say hi. I'm a lonely Lich. I can't even get my IRL brother who's then again, I don't go into his all that often anyway. By the way, Kuromi, how did you put my stream on X? You don't have to tell me in the chat. You can tell me in the thing. What code did you use to do that? I should know that code. because I think that would, anything to increase the visibility, right? When you're a beginning VTuber, especially when you're beginning anything tuber. When you're beginning, whether you're recording stuff, you're live streaming, both, whatever, the maximum amount of visibility is what you're going for here. So, how did you do that? I must know. No, it's not how you found me. No, it's in the messages when I mentioned the fact that I was streaming. I'm now looking at my stream. So how did you put that there in the messages? Because I would like to be able to put that there on the actual, like, Twitter account. See, I'm old. I don't know these. I grew up with computers. My father had the very first, one of, if not the very first, personal computer ever made. The TRS-80. And I was 6, 7 when that came out. And so, the ancient old Atari game system, the precursor to the Nintendo, which came out 7 years later. So I've been around, computers and technology and things like that. Of course, I've been poor, so it's not like I've really been able to, keep up on stuff. And I'm not exactly, my brother is the. Okay. You got an idea in your mind. What's your idea? See, I told you. Watch the stream, and then you can get some, whatever you're already thinking. Watch me. See how I work. And then maybe I can spur some new ideas. Or additional ideas, And I gotta figure out how to stop that thing from scrolling around there. I need an actual, like, chat box, but I can't find one. I'm using just basic OBS. And, well, let me see. I'm using basic OBS, but I'm also using, like, what is this thing called? What do you think? Do you need a new complete model, or just you want to fix the problems? Well, I mean, I don't want to, fix this maybe, but I don't necessarily want to. Well, like I said, I'm more interested in I'm slowly getting my wife to be interested in doing this along with me. So I think I'd want to put whatever investment into getting her first, then maybe fix me. But again, some of that is on the viewers, right? That's our bargain. You come in, and I add more to my body. Because, after all, a lich needs souls to survive. So I need more souls. Of course, I'm using preset stuff. So, eventually, we'll fix the little things up here to be a little bit more me, and latest follower, latest soul, something. You're gonna have to figure out all my little souls, whether you're a follower or a subscriber, we'll have to, are you just a little soul, or are you a mega soul or something? I'll have to figure that out. What do I want to call you guys? I'll have to get more of you. Maybe you can have a poll and figure. You get some soul-based ideas here. So that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm trying to get my IRL wife online to be a VTuber too. I think she'd enjoy it. She likes talking. I like gaming. Well, that's not true. I like talking if I have people to talk to. Just me just sitting here rambling on. The more interaction I have, the happier I like it. Whether it's being, somebody in chat talking to me, or if I'm collabing with, another person. I collab a lot with my real life brother. Yeah, I think I'd rather. Yeah. Well, I mean, you talked about a banner. Let's maybe, we can do maybe a banner. But I'd really like to, put most of the work into getting her a model. So that's going to get some details there. And then, like I said, after we get her set up, then we can go and start fixing what exists, and then again we start setting goals on, when do I get arms, when do I get a body, and we can, new model to fix that, that kind of stuff. A whole new reveal. I was kind of hoping to have that done by now, but unfortunately, my ability to stream and all that sort of stuff. I mean, my quote unquote debut was way back in July, but I've had all sorts of technical difficulties with it that I've only basically now, I think, I've been able to solve for the at least here I am streaming. I'm not dropping rate. I'm actually more or less continually live. So I'm not having those technical problems that I had. My debut wasn't even a debut because nothing worked. And how do you test? How do you test a streaming thing? How do you get on? How do you get on Twitter or Twitch rather? How do you? Here I am again. I'm doing that again. How do you get on Twitch and kind of test out all this stuff before your debut without ruining the whole point of the debut? I didn't know how to do that, so I debuted without having tested anything, and nothing worked. That was way back in July. July 7th, 7/7. So I was hoping that I could debut, get all this stuff worked out, and have enough people. Well, we can do that. We can do the logo, but we'll discuss that off the thing, and we may go into. On my phone and PC, dude. I don't quite follow. No, message me in the where we have been talking before this, and I don't know. Do you have ideas that you at least want to tell me? You don't have to show me. You don't have to draw anything up yet. If you want to kind of tell me what what you have in mind. Mostly on PC when I'm home, but I'm not at my home and I'm using my phone and watching your stream. Oh, okay, well, there you go. Yeah. So, when do you get home? What time zone are you in? I get a feeling that you're already into tomorrow. Let's see. What's today? It's Tuesday, right? Yes, Tuesday. So I get a feeling that you're somehow already in Wednesday. Um, are you asking that question, or are you saying I'm? Are you saying may I or I may? Somebody's offering to do. Somebody's offering to do stuff for both of us. So.
For me and you?
Huh?
For me and you?
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were talking like your brother or something.
Nope. Nope. Strange Bro Jim is not here. Yeah.
By the way, Brad,
Yep.
tonight's reading is 497.
Say that again?
497.
Ah, wow.
I'm not sure how it was that high.
Yeah.
Unless this is
Wife in the background. Do. So, yeah, that sounds like an interesting idea. Well, I mean, my only hesitation with quote unquote horror background was that if it'd be too much different, then, you know what? I think I'm in the wrong background. Do. I need this one. I think. There it is. Haha. There's the right background. I gotta fix that. There we go. Animated background. So, I hesitate to do a quote unquote horror background because obviously this is the background I've chosen, at least for now. This is the castle I've chosen to live in. So, I don't know. And if we do a different background from this, we'd almost it kind of almost forces me to do an entire a whole new background, which I'm not quite ready to do. But, if you want to keep the background, I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk ideas. Yep. Could probably do that. I may do that. Well, I mean, it is getting close to 10 o'clock here. Well, I've only been at this for an hour. I'm actually going to have to take a break in a second here. So, let me actually take a break. I'll be right back. And we'll continue talking. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. Okay, we're back. Oh, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be back. Maybe another half an hour. Tired. Okay. As far as I think ideas, when because I'm tired, because it's late, we may chat a bit tomorrow. Actually, or at least, like I said, I don't know what time zone you're in, Kurumi, where you are. You don't necessarily have to tell me, but don't want you per se dox. I mean, I'm Pacific time, so that's about West Coast of U.S., right? So there we go. So, but it's getting late here. So, and like I said, I got maybe. Will do. But I think one, if nothing else, what I definitely. I noticed, you gave me examples of like how you do other people's like actual like street screens or something like that. I may ask you if besides the banner and everything like that, can you make a chat box? I don't have a chat box. I need a chat box. Nothing I've my okay. What is this thing called? Stream Elements. Okay, so I'm using Stream Elements in connection in addition to the basic OBS, and Stream Elements comes with certain things. Basically, you saw my little pause screen. My beginning end and pause screens are kind of this tarot card thing. This is one of the things that come cheap, if not free, through the Stream Elements thing. Well, the one thing that this particular bunch of stuff, I figured as much. So if I can at least just get a stream box for now, or a chat box for now, the rest is going to come later. But Oh no, exactly. I saw that. That's the reason why that's why I'm saying. I at least want. I saw that. I saw those images. So. I mean, for example, let me see. Getting into what you showed me on the thing. You showed me a kind of a green and blue. Green with kind of blue stripes. It's like I don't know what, or how many images down from what you showed me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One of the static shots that you had in there. What I've got with the package that has the tarot card things has a screen very kind of similar to that green one there, but it's basically this screen shrinks down into a corner, and you got the chat box over, that kind of thing. Okay, well, I don't necessarily want that. I just want the chat box kind of just, here or something, I want to be able to have that separate and be able to, maybe move it around, depending on what game and whatever, because, so, and that'll stop that'll stop the, everything scrolling by. So I've got kind of what the what you're showing in the blue already in the thing, but I don't necessarily want that. I don't necessarily want to make my screen smaller per se. So I just need a little chat box I can move around somewhere. Yeah, well, just that. Yeah, for now. More later, maybe. Because I don't have one. Because, like I said, the package that I have, and I can't find any other packages that I just had. What? A chat box. And I can't make one, or at least I haven't figured out how. What was I using? I was using. Yeah. Yeah. That'll be fine. And then we'll work on my wife's model eventually. And then we'll go about fixing this. Let me see. Where's my... What was I using? It's in here somewhere. There's my OBS. What was the other... Oh, yeah, Streamlabs. Okay. So I was using Streamlabs. But Streamlabs is restrictive in ways that I don't necessarily want to be restrictive. Then again, I haven't exactly found out how to get past certain restrictions on. If I could stream on Twitch, YouTube, maybe Kick, I don't know, Twitter, all of those things simultaneously, okay, we'll do. But if I could stream on all of those platforms simultaneously, I would love to do so. And I think I can do that on OBS. I haven't quite figured out how yet. But Streamlabs is... You have to pay to do that. And I don't have the money to pay to do that yet. Maybe later. But at the same time, it's like... There's so many things that I could do on Streamlabs that I've not been able to figure out how to do other things. Like a text box. That I've not been able to figure out how to do on the basic OBS here. That, Streamlabs has all these neat little, gizmos and bells and whistles and things like that you could do. But again, it has kind of that one major restriction is in order to stream to multiple platforms. And the thing is that, okay, so those platforms don't like you to stream on multiple platforms, you get up to a certain point on Twitch or YouTube and everything like that, and they actually say, no, you can't do this anymore, or you shouldn't do this anymore. I don't know what kind of restrictions they actually place on you. If you get up to a certain level, you get a certain number of followers, you get a certain number of subscribers, or you get to the point where you have enough followers to have subscribers, then you become what's the name for it? I think affiliate. I'm not that up on the lingo. It's how old I am. Once you get up to whatever that point is, right? Twitch basically says, no, you can't simultaneously, stream on these other platforms if you're going to stream on Twitch. That kind of stuff. So at least until I can get to that point, though, I would like to. And I got to figure out how. I should audition and join one of these corporate things because, Jesus, they have people that know how to do this stuff. It's like, I need help. I need somebody to show me how to do this shit. And you got all the tutorials and everything like that are out there. But the thing here, here's my next rant. Ready for it? The problem that I find with a whole bunch of tutorials that are on, like YouTube and whatever, is that even the most instructive tutorial, video. They, if you think of all the things that you need to do in order to get, you're starting out at A, you're ending up at Z or Z, whichever way you want to talk about it, right? All the steps to get from A to Z. It seems like they're leaving out letters. They just assume that you already know how to do certain things, and so they skip those certain things. Well, I don't know. For someone like me, it's like you need to already be a computer programmer in order to know how to do any of this stuff. It's like, okay, well, I'm not that. I'm a musician. I'm a historian. I'm a former teacher. My brain doesn't go there. To being, my brother's brain kind of goes there, but my brain doesn't go there. So I don't know what these steps. There's steps missing in almost all these tutorials that they just kind of assume that you know how to do what you need to do in order to get to the next step. So you're missing letters. A, B, D, H, So I need so the whole point of watching these tutorials is to have them show you A through Z, how to get from, how to start at one point, having nothing, and how to get to whatever it is that what are you watching the video for? What do you want to learn how to, Yeah. But like I said, those tutorials, they just keep missing steps that I need to, they assume A, B, D. Okay, well, where's C? Well, we assume that you already know how to do C. No, I don't know how to do C. Show me how to do C, and then I can go to D. E, I. Wait a minute. What do you mean E, I? Where happened to F, G, and H? Well, we assume you already know how to do F, G, and H. Well, no, I don't know how to do F, G, and H. Show me how to do F, G, and H. Because I don't know how to get to I without you showing me how to get to F, G, and H. It's that kind of stuff. There's so many tutorials out there. At least, maybe, my Google foo is not great. Maybe my YouTube search foo is not any better. I'm finding all the wrong videos to find on maybe there are videos out there that go A, B, C, D right through the whole thing, but those are not the videos I'm finding when I'm going to look. How do you do this thing? And that can be for how do I do streaming? How do I rig this better? Hey, Lofi. A new soul has entered. Yay. See, that's part of the little package. See, I get that, but I don't have a chat box. Where's my chat box? Damn this thing. Hello, Lofi. Join the fun. So, yeah, that's there's my rant. All you people that make instructional videos on YouTube, tutorials, please do not assume that whoever your audience is knows anything about what it is that you're instructing. Do not assume that we know anything, because some of us know jack. And so, I need letter by letter. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. I don't know who might be watching this. I'll probably post this to YouTube at some point. I've got recordings of games and things like that. I got to upload I got to edit some things and upload them to YouTube. See, this is the reason why. Well, So, Lofi, what's your story? Welcome to the club. What do you do? How are you? Who are you? Well, you don't have to tell me who you are. Welcome to Rikuhan. Welcome to my castle. Another soul to get me to my goal of being more than just a floating head. So, yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts? Because yeah, I mean, I've tried to do. You know, I got, I got this. This is fine. But there were certain parts of this that I needed to fix. And, I needed tutorials to show me how to fix. And some were okay. Most were okay. But, occasionally they leave out a step. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, how the hell did you get from here to there? Don't ever assume that your audience knows how to do anything when you're doing tutorials. This is and here's the thing. Here's the teacher in me. Unless you've got like a series, as a teacher, as a history teacher, right? I would teach a class based on, here's how things went. First this happened, and then that happened, and then this spawned this, and this over here happened at the same time. And while that was going on over there, this was happening over here. But you make it all linear, right? You connect all the dots. And if you do it right, you don't, and what you should not do, at least as a history teacher, and quite frankly, any kind of teacher, you should not assume that the students sitting in front of you already know anything. Now, as a history teacher, the thing about, let me get into this here. The thing about teaching history is that the people, the students in front of you have, the further along that you go, they've heard the story over and over and over again in some form or fashion. We get very broad when they're younger, broad concepts, large concepts, and then you go into more and more detail every time you tell that story. Of course, the danger is every time you tell the story and you go into more details, you run the risk of contradicting, and it happens very often. It happens all too often. I can only speak from, I can speak from American history. I can speak from European history. But I'm fairly certain that if you're honest about if you're honest about what you're telling, the story that you're, basically history is just a story retelling what came before. How did we get to this point? Right? And if you're honest about that retelling, if you're honest about telling that story, if you're going from the broader points to the more detailed points over time, in the United States, you're going to get, in the United States, a student going through the school system, from kindergarten through 12th grade, through college. This is where it really gets tricky. From the moment you start school at age 5 to the moment you exit school, particularly if you go through the full university thing, age 22 to 25. That's nearly, 18, 20, 17, 20 years worth of education there, right? You're going to get taught, like, say, for example, American history. If you're in America, you're going to get taught American history. And the same stories, no less than 4 times during the course of that 17 years. If you go straight through kindergarten, and a lot of people are pushing preschool, right? So, but we just started kindergarten, age 5. Okay, age 5, and you're going through, and you go through school, and you even go on to college, and you go through. You're done in 4 years, right? Straight through. That's 17 years. Okay, of education. 17 years. Okay, of education. During that 17 years, you're going to hear the fullness of America's history, but with ever increasing details, no less than 3 or 4 times. And every time you do, if you get narrower and narrower, some things are going to contradict what you thought you knew before. I'll give you an example. In elementary school, particularly around the time of the Thanksgiving holiday around here, we're taught about the Pilgrims and the Indians and Thanksgiving and all that sort of stuff, and how the Pilgrims came over to America and all that sort of stuff, right? Very broad terms, right? You get into 8th grade, or at least around here, U.S. history is taught where I live. They kind of split it up. Like the first half is 8th grade, and the second half is 11th grade, right? And when you're in the 8th grade, you get retaught the American beginnings. How and why did the Pilgrims come here? And then if you go on to college and you take American history again, you get taught how and why the Pilgrims came to America again. So no less than 3 times. You'll probably hear especially through elementary school, you get to, they'll do the Pilgrim story like every year around Thanksgiving. So you get at least 6 times, 5 or 6 times. A retelling of it. But it doesn't go into too much detail even with each retelling during that point. It doesn't get into too much detail. You don't get into finer details until you hit 8th grade. And then you really get into the fine details when you're in college. If you take those, most colleges require at least some American, if you in America, is part of your general education requirements. U.S. history is part of that. But the story changes ever so slightly, but ever more importantly. And I might get into, and if anybody wants to, if anybody cares, I might get into how those differences are. But, but when you're in front of a class, and let me bring this full circle. When you're in front of a class, and you're giving that kind of narrative, you gotta kind of give the whole narrative. How does, and you gotta be, if you're gonna be very honest about it, you gotta give the whole narrative. How do we get from point A to point Z? What were the steps? And you can't assume that they know. Some might know. You'll get a clever student that maybe read ahead of the book. You'll get somebody who maybe remembers the story from when they were told before. You get told the story in elementary school, and then you get into middle school, junior high, and you get told the story again. So maybe you might remember what you were told before and can apply it to what you know now. But that's only if you have that. So, if you get as a teacher, if I've got a classroom of students in front of me, yeah, I can assume that they've already heard the story before. But then what if I get some foreign exchange student or somebody who's just moved to the country and has no clue? They got the history of their country when they were in elementary school. Now they're in the United States. At the middle school level, they know nothing. I can't assume that they have to. You want to know about American history? Okay, here's how things went, and I got to do it one step at a time. Even if the other students have already heard it, they've heard the story before, right? I can't assume that the person who's new to the country has heard this. And again, same thing goes up to high school. We get this high school, you go into college, you're going to get that same story over and over again, but a little bit more detailed. And sometimes, like I said, the story changes just slightly. Just importantly. In to the point where it can add a new dynamic, a new dimension to the story that you thought you knew. Going back to the Pilgrims. Anybody who knows the story, any American who got taught American history, if you ask them, why did the Pilgrims leave the comfort, really, of England? Why would they come to the wilderness that was, the only society was the Native American Society, which was a society, a legitimate society, but totally different in every way, shape, and form from what the Europeans knew, thought of. They didn't consider the Native Americans to have a society, because it was so foreign to what they had spent centuries in. And so, why would the Europeans, why would the Pilgrims come to the Americas filled with all of its Native Americans, and not even filled, really. As populous as the natives were, there was a lot of open land between some of them. They really didn't take up much room, which unfortunately made it very easy for the Europeans to take over. So, as far as the Europeans were concerned, it was savage. I use that term a lot. Savage, barren, open, dangerous, but at the same time, liberating, I suppose. You have Native Americans there, but you got a lot of open land to settle in, even in and around the natives, right? Like I said, there weren't that many. There's a lot of open land between the natives. There weren't that many of them by comparison. And so, why would the Puritans come here? And if you've gone through American history, you know one telling. If you go only up to high school, you know one telling. If you go into college, when they really get into the details of it, you start to learn, and it's controversial. You start to learn, nuances. The story gets retold a slightly different way, not in a bad way, just in a more, there's details that are missing from before. Details they didn't tell you in high school, much less junior high or elementary school. The human brain, can only take so much information. A lot of people don't pay attention to. I mean, history is boring. A lot of people don't pay attention to that anyway, right? If anybody wants to know the details, anybody that's watching this thing wants to know the details, I'll be happy to discuss it in the future. What's the difference between what you heard in elementary school versus junior high versus high school versus college? Aren't they all the same story? Well, yes, but no. Because once you get to a certain point once you deep dive into the reasons why these people made that trip, then the narrative changes. Then your understanding of it changes. And the problem is that you only really learn the fine details because there's no time. The part of the reason also why you don't learn the details of it is just, again, the human brain can only take so much when you're younger. But even when you get older, you can tell this stuff to you can go into those. You can dive deep into those whys when you're in high school. But then again, they don't really go back and talk about the Pilgrims. They like I said, in where I am anyway, they divide the U.S. history into half. So basically, you get the founding, the very beginning, the very first settlers. You even get some of just Native Americans before the settlers even arrive. You get a little bit of that. Here comes the settlers, and you get all the way up to the Civil War and a little bit past. That's in 8th grade. So you get Revolution and Constitution and Declaration of Independence and things like that. That even an 8th grader, it's like that's really heady stuff. That's college level stuff that you're giving to an 8th grader. Somebody who's in there, 13 or 14. So you gotta kind of hit with kid gloves when they're that age. You can't really hit them with too much of the, there's a lot of lawyer speak. It's college level stuff. You can't really hit them with college level stuff. And then you get to by the time they get to U.S. history again in 11th grade, they start, they do a little bit of a refresher of, here's the Native Americans and the, but they, it's like the first chapter or two of their history book, and they go right from Reconstruction all the way up to as far as they can, however much time they have, the few times that I got through that, the few times that I had to teach that to that level, we almost never got past Vietnam. So, before the school year was out. So, you don't really get the reasons why did the Puritans come to America until you get to college, if you go to college. So you don't really get that. You can teach that, but what you get because of where you start, you don't really have the time to go into the whys. If you even retouch on, or even if you're 11th grade, you start all over. Some places might start all over. If you're in a state where they start all over in the 11th grade or in high school, you get U.S. history in high school. If they're starting over from the founding, of the country, and the Pilgrims and the Virginia colonies and all that sort of stuff, and then the Declaration of Independence. If you're doing that in high school, you don't have time. You got to go. If you're going from the beginning all the way up to modern day, you're trying to crunch 250 years, 300 years of U.S. history. Let me see. What would it be? 400 years 400 years of history into 9 or 10 months. That's a lot. You don't have, as a teacher, you don't have time. You can't get into the whys. You don't have time to get into the whys. The whys are there. The whys are very much there. The right, if you go into the whys, you can say a few of them, and you can kind of touch on them, but it really doesn't tell the full story. The whys of that particular thing, and you pick any topic, any time period of history. Why did the Civil War begin? You can touch on that. You can give some of the whys. But the further you go into it, and really, again, until college, now you can spend, instead of spending, a short time, you have more time. You can really in college you can expand the you can kind of shrink the time span that you're going to study. We're only going to study this 100 years here. But then if you spread that 100 years out over the course of 10 to 16 weeks, you can really get into the whys of some of this stuff. And very often, the narrative changes. Because now you can dive deeper. You're not just touching on why did this happen, but you can dive deep into the whys. And sometimes when you dive deep, the narrative changes. Oh. The Pilgrims weren't just leaving for religious freedom. So they were leaving because they were the extremists that the country was kicking out. Well, okay. You guys, your religion is too extreme for the rest of us. Get the hell out of our country. Okay, well, where we're going to go? Well, there's all this open land in this new territory across the Atlantic. We can go settle there and establish our extreme religious doctrine there, away from the eyes of a king who doesn't like us. It changes the narrative. But most people don't learn that particular, they're not, they're not people escaping religious extremism. They're extremists, being kicked out by the rest of the non-extremists. When you learn that difference, and you only learn that difference when you're in college, that's the only point where it's really taught. They don't really talk about it earlier. In many cases, you just can't wrap your mind around that, right? So, and as a teacher, you can't assume that anybody in the class has already heard that story, because they may be coming from someone else, from somewhere else. So if you're going to be a teacher of any subject, whether it's history, whether it's math, whether it's science, whether it's how to set up a VTuber model, you can't assume that anybody coming into that has any idea of what you're talking about, unless you go through every single, you can't assume that they have any kind of pre-knowledge. Some do. And on top of that, the more niche the subject, the less people will have pre-knowledge. And this, my friends, is a niche subject. Okay, it is 10:40 Pacific time here. I am working on 2.5 hours of sleep, So I'm going to close things down. Thank you very much for Kuromi, for coming in and chatting with me and sharing ideas. We'll talk more tomorrow offline. Lofi 247 wandering in, following. Thank you very much for following. I hope I can continue to entertain you in the coming, well, in the coming days, weeks, months, years. So until then, I think my rant is over. My mouth is drying out. And I'm getting tired. I need to go to bed. So I will see you guys. We will be doing this again tomorrow, 9 o'clock Pacific. Same. Let's see. How can I change that? Same. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Okay, same Lich time, same Lich channel. There we go. Same Lich time, same Lich channel. 9 o'clock Pacific. Every day, Monday through Friday. 5 days a week. And then during the day, during the weekend, most often probably Sunday afternoons. But, you know, things are open. The only way to find out is to follow. If you're watching this on YouTube, then subscribe, give it a like. And tomorrow I think we're going to be diving back into Civ 7. So if you want to come by and watch me continue playing Civ 7 and trying to make something out of that game. Oh, you want to talk about some rants? I've got some rants about that one. Until then, I will see you guys later. I would wave, but I have no arms. So, bye!